out, so this is going to be a little awkward. Buckle up. I'm grateful that I'm in a safe. Because you have to listen to me. Okay. Healthy, interesting political conversations are hard to come by. And I don't mean preaching to the choir. Two Tea Partiers talking to each other, or two screaming liberals talking to each other. We are so smart. They're not. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your average, intelligent, kind Republican and your average, intelligent, kind Democrat or independent sitting down and saying, help me understand where you're coming from. I'm really interested in what you're thinking. Politics is just an example, one manifestation that we are separated from each other. The divide keeps getting bigger, and it's really sad. I thought to myself, what are we currently doing? What is our behavior now? Why are we doing it? And how can we improve it, change it, so that we can have an open conversation? As I watch people interact during the 2016 political season, I saw that we do one of three things. We either go out of our way not to have a conversation. You go to a dinner with your partner, and you turn to them and you say, do not talk about politics. Do not. Or we have these fake friendly pseudo-friendly conversations. You go to a party, and you don't really know whose team the person you're talking to. So it's like you're on a recon mission trying to figure it out. You start talking about the news, and you're like, hey, it's crazy, right? What do you think? And then you get a little feedback, and you realize they're not on your team. So you go, okay, that's fine. And the conversation ends really friendly, and everybody goes home, and you talk to your partner, you go, can you believe it? I am shocked. They seem so smart. Pseudo-friendly conversation. Or we just get into a full-blown argument over who's right and who's wrong. None of these are healthy. None of these are healthy for us. Why are we so afraid to have a political conversation? Well, I'm in the category of I either don't want to offend someone, or I don't feel like defending my position. It's exhausting. So I just don't do it. On a deeper level, it is so difficult for some of us to relate to somebody that has such an opposing opinion. You don't even know what question to ask. They're so far removed from what you understand, so you just avoid the whole thing. And I think on the deepest level, our opinion, our political perspective, is our identity. We are Republicans. We are Democrats. And if someone does anything to challenge or even question what we're thinking, we are threatened, we're offended, and in a small, unspoken way, they become our enemy on that level. I thought to myself, what can I do to make it easier for somebody else to feel more comfortable to have a political conversation with me? And I think there's really only two things we need to do. The first thing is to be genuinely curious about what somebody else is thinking. Genuinely curious. And a lot of that is the energy behind your question. If I were to ask Brian, who are you voting for this year? And Brian said, I'm going to vote for Trump. And I said, Trump? You're going to vote for that juvenile? How many demographics does he have to offend? Or if he said Hillary, and I'm like, crooked Hillary, how do you genuinely curious, you know you're not gonna get into a conversation with me. So your energy has to be genuinely curious, and it's hard, but you have to make the effort to sincerely be curious about what somebody else is thinking. And I think the only other thing we need to do when you go into a conversation, when you start a conversation, is do not go into it with the intention of changing somebody else's mind.
Mm-hmm.
You have to leave space for somebody else's perspective. And people can tell if you really have space for their perspective. I think that we can have healthy, interesting, political conversations, or any conversation that involves opposing points of view and great emotion, as long as we do these two things. Simply be genuinely curious about what somebody else is thinking. And don't go into the conversation expecting to change somebody's mind.